The history of Liverpool. How many times have you heard the expressions, Liverpool's history is rich, Liverpool is steeped in history, and Liverpool's historical heritage, and so on? You can't be sure of how loaded those expressions are until you watch this video about the history of Liverpool. Interestingly, there are figments of the history of Liverpool in some videos on this channel, those that deal with several features of the city. Before we continue, we want to kindly encourage you to search for those videos dealing with reasons to love Liverpool and to move there. In case we're unable to cover areas that interest you most about Liverpool's fascinating history, therefore, whatever gaps we have in this narrative will be filled by those videos. In the beginning, the history of the modern city of Liverpool can be traced back to 1190. We'll talk about the name by which it was then known later when discussing the origin of the name. It was founded as a borough by royal charter in 1207 issued by King John. Then it was made up of only 7 streets in the shape of the letter H. It remained a small settlement for centuries until its trade within Great Britain was overtaken by trade with Africa or the West Indies. But it'd still be unfair if we just started this history from this point, so let's go further back in history. While the world didn't know anything about a city called Liverpool during the Iron Age, the area around the territory of modern-day Liverpool was sparsely populated, despite the presence of a seaport at Meols. Also, the Calderstones, a public or family park in the city, are believed to be part of an ancient circle of Stone Circle. We've also seen archaeological evidence of native Iron Age farmsteads at several sites. That was the Britons era. Fast forward to about 70 AD, it became more like it when the area then came under Roman invasion. The Roman occupation of the area was born out of efforts to advance northward to crush the ancient Druid resistance on Anglesey to restore order in the ruling family of Brigantes. Following the withdrawal of the Romans, the land in the area continued to be cultivated by native Britons. The area saw exploits of different medieval kingdoms, and it later came under the control of the Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Mercia, which eventually defeated its rival kingdoms. So in this area, another kingdom with remarkable and lasting influence was Anglo-Saxon. Yet the Vikings and Normans too had their marks on this city. For instance, we read about the Norse settlers joined up with another Viking settlers group who populated West Lancashire. They had an independent Viking mini-state for a time. This explains the proliferation of Viking place names all over Merseyside, including Liverpool. The 1086 Domesday Book survey lists certain places, buildings and landmarks that have some connection with the modern city of Liverpool, suggesting that Normans too have left some marks on the area. Origin of modern Liverpool. Let's now go back to the origin of modern Liverpool after those eras without scanty records. Remember that we told you earlier that there was nowhere known as Liverpool on the surface of the earth, even though human activities did not stop throughout the millennia. So what about the origin of the name Liverpool? The name actually comes from the Old English word liver, which means thick or muddy, and pol. It also means a pool or creek. This takes us back to around the year 1190, as mentioned earlier, when the name was first recorded as Liverpool. It was used to refer to a pool or tidal creek in the area. The adjective Liverpudlian used for the people of Liverpool was coined in 1833. But we're not yet in 1833. Let's go back to the year 1207. On August the 8th that year, King John advertised the establishment of a new borough called Liverpool, in place of where a small motte and bailey castle had already been built. In the letters of the patent issued by the king, he invited settlers to take up holdings in the newly established borough. Please watch King John's establishment of the city in our video that deals with facts about Liverpool. Initially, the town served as a dispatch point for troops dispatched to Ireland around 1234, soon after the building of Liverpool Castle, which ceased to exist in 1726. Liverpool became established as a small community for fishing and farming when a market was established at the site of the later town hall. It was first administered by burgesses and later a mayor. It, however, remained a small and relatively unimportant settlement for several centuries. In fact, by the mid-14th century, its population was no more than 1,000. The combination of economic decline, power feuds, and rivalry further decimated the town such that its population fell to around 600 in the middle of the 16th century. The rise of Liverpool. From around 1648 to 1660, the town witnessed rapid progress in population and commerce, with the first cargo from the Americas. Development further accelerated after the restoration of 1660 thanks to the growth of trade with the West Indies. By 1667, Liverpool had become Great Britain's second metropolis, with cloth, coal and salt from Lancashire and Cheshire being exchanged for sugar and tobacco. Meanwhile, the first sugar refinery was established in the town in 1667. In 1699, Liverpool was made a parish by an Act of Parliament and was separated from that of Walton-on-the-Hill. That was about the time it gained separate customs authority from Chester. Also that year, the first of the recorded 4,973 slave ships to sail from Liverpool departed. The last known slaving voyage out of the city was in 1862. By the start of the 19th century, it had become a trade route. The year 1830 saw the opening of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. The population of Liverpool grew rapidly, especially with Irish migrants. By 1851, a quarter of the city's population was Irish-born. As the town continued to grow, it was granted city status in 1880 and came to be known as the second city of the Empire and the New York of Europe. The following year, a university named after the city was established. The 20th century Liverpool. By 1901, Liverpool's population had grown to over 700,000 and its boundaries had been expanded to include Kirkdale, Everton, Walton, West Derby, Toxteth and Garstow. This expansion continued during the first part of the 20th century. This period marked the zenith of Liverpool's economic success, such that it could regard itself boastfully as the second city of the British Empire. For example, an international exhibition took place in 1903 Edge Inn Lane. By 1916, the three pierhead buildings were complete. Also, the independent urban districts of Childwall, Ollerton, Little Woolton and Much Woolton were added in 1913, and in 1932 the parish of Speke was also added. The severe human and material losses complicated the effect of the Great Depression that hit the city badly in the early 1930s, during which thousands of Liverpudlians became unemployed. The Second World War dealt a devastating blow to the city and frustrated all efforts of the city to recover from the economic crisis. The crucial Battle of the Atlantic was being planned in Liverpool, and the city suffered a blitz second only to London during the war. Subsequent reconstruction that followed the war saw the city rising back to glory. Of course, it wasn't immune to several challenges of the final decades of the century. Liverpool today. In this 21st century, Liverpool's economy has grown faster than the UK's average. It is now reaping from the general economic and civic revival that has been underway since the mid-90s. Also, its crime levels have remained lower than the majority of other metropolitan areas in England and Wales. That's linkable to the emphasis the city has placed on its cultural attractions in recent years. Tourism also has become a significant stabilising factor in Liverpool's economy, thanks to the popularity of the Beatles and other musical and cultural groups. In June 2003, Liverpool won the right of recognition as the European Capital of Culture for 2008, defeating cities such as Newcastle and Birmingham. Also in 2004, the riverfront of the city was named a World Heritage Site, though revoked in 2021 due to developments. In October 2005, Liverpool's City Council tendered a public apology for causing the flooding of Capel Celyn in Wales. In October 2007, a Labour dispute with the Royal Mail, which had been ongoing since June, continued with wildcat strikes in Liverpool and London. Another sad one on November 11, 2021, was a bomb detonated inside a taxi outside Liverpool Women's Hospital, which has been recognised as a terror attack. Back to our promise. Are there any aspects of the history of Liverpool that you feel we've missed? Please share your candid opinion with us all in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.